Hi there, it's Ryan G. Wright with DoHardMoney.com, and the question for today is how to rehab a meth house. So a few years ago, man, it's probably been 5 years ago, I can't remember, but several years ago we had a property and we put a tenant into the property, and I'll admit we didn't do a great job of screening this tenant. I think we got a little bit desperate and we just put somebody in. And so they were in the property and we got reports and we knew they weren't taking great care of the property. It's a rental property. And so we just said, hey, let's just continue to let them live in the property because they've already done damage to the property. So what more damage could they do? So this continued, and then finally it got to a point where they left in the middle of the night, basically, right? They just picked up their stuff and they left. Now, when we went into the property, we were worried because they had painted spray paint, painted black, and this is a nice property, right? And so we were really concerned. But what concerned us the most is it looked like somebody shook up a can of Coke and sprayed it all over the ceilings. And that's kind of a telltale sign for meth. And so we were concerned about that. So like always, and I highly recommend this, we got a meth test. Now, there's actually companies that you can do the meth test yourself and then you send it into the lab results. And one of those is actually located here in Utah. And so basically you take a little square, which they provide for you. You put it in different places. You take a Q-tip or a cotton swab is actually what it is. Then you put that into a plastic cylinder and ship it off. And then they can give you quick results depending. So it's something you can do yourself. And I highly recommend that when you're buying properties, once it's under contract before you close. So we did that, and guess what? There was meth. And it was over the limits, and every state has different limits as to what it can be over, and every state has different laws. So for example, in my state, in one of the states I'm in, if I do the cleanup appropriately, I actually can't disclose that it has meth because if it was done appropriately, because of stigmatization. In other states, you may have to disclose. So it just depends on what state you're located in. So you're going to want to look up your state laws and understand what this looks at. But the sign of that meth, again, is if it looks like a Coke ball that's been sprayed all over the ceiling, you'll have an idea with that. The other thing is if you see a house that's just trashed, you're gonna have good suspicion that there was some type of meth activity. Now, there's all different types of meth activity, right? So first off, you have meth where somebody's just using it, smoking it, doing whatever the case is, injecting it. Then you're going to deal with meth where you're actually dealing with somebody that's actually cooking it or creating it, where they're doing getting chemicals and trying to actually create the meth, and that's meth cooking is a whole other topic. The meth cooking is a concern, not just because of health concerns and it's illegal and everything else, but it's also a major concern because houses blow up because people don't know what they're doing and they're trying to cook things out and they do stupid stuff. So all that's a concern. Any way you look at it, the most heartbreaking thing of this property was that the room that was actually in the worst condition was actually the nursery. There's a crib in there, the babies were in there. That tested more positive than anything else. So it used to be when you were dealing with meth that you had to rip out all the sheetrock, you had to rip out all the carpet, and you had to put new sheetrock in. Super, super expensive to do that. There's now ways to treat the meth where you don't have to do all that, where you actually come in and just spray it all down. You actually have to get rid of the carpet in most cases, spray the floorboards underneath the carpet, but for the sheetrock you can actually spray it and wait for it to dry, and then you're able to repaint and recarpet. So you're going to be dealing with a pretty good size bill on an average size house. I would say meth, for just the treatment portion, you're probably around $5,000, anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 is probably what you're looking. Again, this is just a huge ballpark. It's going to depend upon the size of the property, and you are going to want to be working with a meth professional, not just some idiot off the street. You want to work with somebody that actually is a specialist in meth. And if you look around, you'll find meth specialists that work with real estate investors, and they like that repeat business, and so they can give you a good break on that if you run into it. But I think the big keys is, number one, make sure that you test the house every time you get one under contract. Number two, if you are in a home, look around for that sprayed Coke can. It's actually not a Coke can. It has something to do with the way that they're using the meth or cooking the meth, and you'll see it on there. Number three, get that tested before your due diligence deadline. If there is meth in the property, you want to get a professional bid on that. It's a lot less expensive than it used to be, so the steps really are they come in and spray everything, they take out the carpet, they dispose of that appropriately, and then you've got to come back in and paint and carpet and do other work that may need be done to the property. The great news with this is it is something that you can overcome. The one thing I would say is just make sure there's no stigmatization laws in the state where you're investing. Like in my state, I can't even tell people that had meth if it's been properly treated, and I've got a certificate. And lots of times the health department may, depending upon your state, they may have to come in and certify that was done appropriately, or do another meth test to make sure it's in good shape. And if you're getting those meth tests done, you want to do one before and do one after so you can compare the results. One thing to keep in mind though, every house does have some traces of meth. It could be because somebody dropped a pill and it went into a vent. There are small traces of meth in every single house, even if it's brand new construction. That's not what we're concerned about. It's got to be over the legal limit of methamphetamines that you need to be concerned about. I hope this is helpful. If you want other tips and tricks, please check us out at dohardmoney.com. Also, if you like this video and want to see them continue, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and make it a very profitable day.